Good evening, good evening. Welcome to TSK F1. How are you doing, guys? I thought I would trial a bit of a different kind of stream this evening and do a race reaction and a driver ratings and just talk through the race and what I've seen of the race and what I think of the drivers. We can have a conversation about it and we can disagree or agree on my driver ratings, but do get involved. I'm gonna be rating all of the drivers as I go through. I've got the result and the starting positions in front of me, and then my memory of what's gone on, basically. So it's just an interactive thing. I'm gonna rate them on the screen, as you can see. And you guys can share your ratings as I'm going along. I'll show you what I'm going to rate them, and then at the end of this, I'll pick my driver of the day as well. But first, we'll talk about a little bit to do with the race, some collisions, safety cars, interesting radio messages there. So there's different bits and bobs to talk about, and I suppose really the start of it there with the Mercedes starting first and second and the Red Bulls just behind. I'm not going to lie. I thought Max would have enough. It's the first time this season we've not seen him have enough. Even when he's encountered an issue, he's tended to come right back through the field. And I thought with the safety car near the end there, it would be enough for him. And I suppose really the first thing we can talk about is the contact between Lewis and Max. Now, I've never made any secret. I am no fan at all of crowding off the track and that kind of tactic. I know it's just a given in Formula One these days, but I'm really not a fan of it. But today, when my initial reaction was that Max had sent it not incredibly dissimilar from the second apex at Mexico for Danny Rick on Tsunoda. He was probably a bit further forward, but I do think, honestly, that while in the left-hander Hamilton knew he was there, I think he genuinely thought he had enough to be in front of Max by the right-hander, and he was somewhat in his blind spot until they made contact. I actually do. And really, I thought it was a racing incident bordering on clumsiness and over-aggressiveness from Max, and the stewards went a bit further and kind of agreed and gave him a 5-second penalty. So I'm not too angry at that situation. Honestly, from that, it seemed clumsy. It seemed overly aggressive to me in the moment. And it is what it is. It's to me on F1 TV. They were very. It wasn't a penalty. I was kind of on the fence. It could have been. It definitely wasn't Hamilton's fault, in my opinion. But yeah, that was my opinion on that. Good evening, everyone. We are going to go through all of the drivers, and we'll probably start from the back of the order that I've got all the way up to the front, and we'll just have a little talk about the flashpoints. So I'm going to come to that, John. I'm going to come to that because I think more has been broadcast while I've been setting up to go live. I just really wanted to go live immediately after the Grand Prix with this. But, we can talk about it now. I was trying to do it in order so I could remember what I talked about and what I hadn't. But so yesterday in the sprint race, I said, elsewhere, that I felt that it would have been a nice gesture for Max to allow Checo past. I think even the most hardened of Max fan would admit Checo has played the second driver really, really well, and even a little gesture the other way would be lovely for Checo. I think Checo is generally a harmless guy. I seem to recall him, like everything I think about Checo is he's a cracking gentlemanly, hard but fair racer is what I think about him, about Checo. And he's done things for Max, and you know, I don't really need to mention it, but there is a certain occasion where he drove incredibly well. Directly for Max, and a little gesture I thought would have been nice. So today when I heard the radio message, I don't know who Max's engineer is, but saying if you haven't passed Alonso, please let Checo past, I expected him to. He didn't, and I believe there's been some more radio messages since the end of the race, which I'm not aware of, so do let me know in chat what it was that Max said. But I thought, you know, just a little gesture from Max, from the team, just to go, right, let's get him second place in the championship. Let's do that for him. I can't understand, with both championships first place sewn up, I can't understand why Max didn't do that. But please do let me know in the chat about that, because I'm a little bit confused. Don't ask me again is what was said. I don't know. Right, I'm going to do a poll on this. Because please let me know, John, in chat. I will do a poll on this, and I'm not Max hating. I'm really not, because we do have to qualify these things. But we've seen it in Formula One countless times where one driver does another a favour. So I'll do a poll. Let me get it going. Now, we should have a poll going now. So get your votes in. We've had this discussion. I have my reasons, so don't ask me again. So, weird. But there's a vote in the chat. And we'll see. We'll see what you guys say on that. We'll leave that one running. I know what my opinion is, and I've just shared it. It was completely harmless for Max to have shown that gesture. And I think it's a poor show. I defended it yesterday, thinking that maybe Max didn't get any message that Checo asked, but they didn't ask Max. Today he definitely got the message, and it was a bit like, oh, that's a bit crap. You know, it just is. So we've said about the Max and Lewis collision, the Lando and Leclerc collision. Now, again, it's one of them. Lando does hit the curb. He does understeer somewhat. He does hit Leclerc. For me, it's clumsy, but that isn't really a defence. Leclerc does go off, does crash. It is some kind of penalty. It just has to be, really, doesn't it? It has to be a penalty for me. So the Max and Lewis one, I was on the side of racing incident. If we must pick someone to blame, it would have lent more towards Max for me. But the Leclerc-Lando one, you know, it was an issue. Now, another thing, I suppose, the first safety car there with Danny Rick and Kevin Magnussen, that was just massively clumsy. That was just all Danny Rick. I can't even begin with anything with what Danny Rick did there. I've got no idea what the lad was doing. At all. Not a clue. Silly, clumsy. It was like a lazy thing. I don't know. Where did Danny Rick come yesterday? He was 11th in the sprint race and last today. So we'll start with Danny Rick then on the driver ratings, and it's not going to be a kind one. No points. He didn't look like he was going to score points. He took Kevin Magnussen out straight away. Look, it's got to be a low score. It's got to be a really low score. I mean, he ended someone's race on lap 1. I'm stuck between. You let me know what your score is in chat, but I'm very lazy, clumsy move. Oh, Oh, I'm going to do it. Two. It was 2 or 3 for me, but he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. I'm dying for him to do something. It's got to be a. I don't even. I'd have given him a 3 because he got 11th yesterday, but I don't know where he qualified. Where did he qualify? I think. Well, actually, could if we're doing it on race, could he have done any worse? Let's do it on race. Could he have done any worse? He took himself out and someone else out on lap 1. It is a 1, isn't it? It is a 1, I think. What else? I don't know. You can't really have a worse race unless you take someone out even sooner. But let me know what 14th qualified to 11th, but we'll do it. It's race reaction. He took someone out first lap, and really the only way he could have done even look 2 because he got a couple of corners. I feel bad doing a 1. But let me know what you think in chat for the scores there. Now, Kevin Magnussen. Look, I know this kind of goes back on what I just said, but he started 8th. He started 8th in the Haas. Look, it was completely not his fault. Let's get rid of the pole. Let's get rid of the sprint race. A 6. So, for me, the Mafia at it again. Sorry? So for me, 6. 6 is what my average is going to be. You can't score Magnussen either way. For me, you can't score Magnussen either way. He didn't do anything, did he? He couldn't have done anything. He did nothing wrong in terms of the race. The only thing you can do is give him a 6, isn't it? Really, you can't do much else than that. For me, he didn't have a chance to do anything. So how can you score him? So who's next? Lando. Now, Lando was doing all right. Lando was doing all right, wasn't he? He was doing all right. He is ill. I think he was on. I think he was low end of the points he was on for. I think he was low end of the points, guys. I could be wrong. I could be wrong there, but I think. Oh! I've just got rid of my chat. Oh well. Never mind. It's a tough one because the retirement wasn't on him, was it? I think he was on for low end of the points. To me, it's a 6 or a 7. You're expecting a McLaren in the points, aren't you? I'm going to go for a 6 for Lando. I don't think the only above and beyond thing is recovering from illness. You kind of expect that McLaren where it's been this season to be sort of lower end of the points, right? Lower end of the points. That's where I'd go for him. I'm just keeping an eye on the time. I don't want to take absolutely forever doing this. But that's what I'm going to score him. 7 for Ian on, and a 7 for Ryan on Lando. But this is kind of what it's about. Now, Yuki Tsunoda, down in 17th. I don't think I've got any notes on Tsunoda. I don't think I've got anything specific on Tsunoda. So Tsunoda for me, being down in 17th, Max got crashed into, did he? That's an interesting one. Yuki Tsunoda down in 17th. It's got to be a low end, hasn't it? He didn't do anything. It's a 3 or a 4. I'm going to go for a 4 with Yuki there. I'm going to go for a 4. I don't recall him having any particular issue or anything. Actually, you know what? Because of what I've just seen, even worse than that. Now, what I've just seen is above Tsunoda is Nicholas Latifi after the... I tell you what happened. He got stuck, didn't he? He got stuck. What was all that with the... What was that with the... What was that with the safety car? Oh, Ryo. I mean, that's not really what happened, is it? I don't know how you can. I don't know how you can call near enough T-boning another car them killing you. But okay. Yeah, he got safety car mid-pack. You know what? I'm going to bump him up to a 4 because he might have made some places because the Williamses got passed, didn't they? That's a curious one. It'd have been right behind Gasly. It'd have been right behind Gasly. Well, no, I mean if it'd have beat the Williamses. So, um, yeah, he didn't unlap, so I'm going to give him a 4 and a benefit of the doubt because he's going to follow instructions. He's not just going to decide that's where he's staying, is it? Leclerc telling his team to tell Sainz to move over was shocking. Why is that? I don't think it was shocking on any level. I don't think it was shocking on any level. So, look, Latifi, look. You see, this is the problem. I did clock that he was some 30 seconds behind at one point, so I'm going to give him a 4. I mean, for the reality is that's average for him, but really it's not good enough, is it? It's not good enough. He's on his way out. Now, Albon, he did look racy at one point. He was just, I've got a note here that he was just outside the points at some point. I'm sure he was like 11th or something. I've got a note somewhere, but he was just outside the points at one point. No, I'd not have been swapping, but I get him asking for it. But now, yeah. So Albon, he was further up, but he finished just ahead of Latifi. I don't know, 5. He beat his teammate, but I mean the 15th and 16th. Max got crashed into, was pushed to the back of the grid and still got a penalty. Of course he did, because he caused the crash. What are you on about? What are you on about? What are you on about? Bless you. 5. I mean, is that just favouritism? He finished just ahead of Latifi, and I'm giving him a 5. I don't know. Maybe it's that. No, because it was during green flag conditions. Latifi was miles back behind Albon, so I'll give Albon a 5. What do you think there, Latifi and Albon? I've given Albon a 5 and Latifi a 4 there, because Latifi, if it wasn't for that final safety car, was absolutely miles off the back there. So let me know your scores in chat. It's fine to disagree with me. These are just my honest feeling of scores. Now, you've got next in 14th. Latifi is amazing, 0. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know. So, Gasly. Gasly finishing 14th in the AlphaTauri. Is that just a poor car? I don't know, but there's something in me that says Gasly should be getting more out of that. Gasly should be doing more with that, I feel like. What do you guys think? There's people highly rate, like I did a rating earlier, and people were telling me I should have been put in Gasly in future world champion sort of ranks, but 14th in a Grand Prix with lots of opportunity with safety cars and stuff. It wasn't great for me. That isn't great for me. So guys, let me know what you're thinking there. There wasn't enough there for me. Honestly. Yeah. I don't know. People highly rate Gasly and finishing 14th isn't highly rated for me. You think he's dropped his performances by a few percent since signing with Alpine? There is that. We've all noticed the change of tone from Pierre Gasly on the radio as well. Now, next up, Mick Schumacher. Now, I am a fan of Mick Schumacher. I am going to try and stay neutral on this. He qualified in, where was he? 12th, dropped a place to 13th. He was in the points for large portions of that race. And I was really hopeful he was going to bring home a point there. And he did get in front of Zhou, but I can't help but think the strat was a bit off, and maybe that safety car wasn't ideal for him. I'm not entirely sure. As the pack sorted itself out, it's a 5 or a 6, like 6 being average, and I feel like a 6. I feel like a 6. If I'm giving Gasly a 5 for 14th, being behind Mick Schumacher, people would expect Mick Schumacher to be behind Gasly. He was in front of Gasly, and on that basis, I'm giving him a 6. So he was in the points, because I'm a fan of his. I was watching. He was in and around 7th to 10th for long periods of that race. He beat Gasly, and on that basis, that's what I'm doing. Now, the next up is Guan Yu Zhou in 12th position there. I think I'm going to give him a 6 as well, because they came into Formula 1 at the same time. You'd argue, actually, I don't think... Would you argue the Alfa Romeo is a better car than the Haas? But Guan Yu Zhou beat Mick Schumacher, so I'd give him a solid 6. What's going on? Merck works for the FIA. That's how the FIA knew about the cost cap breach for Red Bull about catering. Ryo, hate to break it to you, it was Ferrari and Ferrari-related news sources that broke that news. So, yep, that's inconvenient for that narrative. Awkward. But anyway, Zhou, Schumacher, 6. Norris was doing as expected. K-Mag, average. We couldn't give K-Mag a score. Next up, Seb Vettel. Seb Vettel's a curious one. Because I'm looking at that like, how the hell did he finish behind Lance Stroll? But the race as a whole was a good race. The race was a good race. Am I misremembering? It was a strong race from Aston Martin and Seb Vettel. That's the impression I felt watching it. So, you can say your opinion for Vettel, but he had a good race. Just try and keep it normal and not weird like that other chap at the minute. But I think a 7. It felt a strong race. How did he end up behind Stroll? And on that basis, Stroll points in front of Vettel. Honestly, it's a strong race from both of them. It's a strong race. 7. I'm loath to give him an 8, but 7 from the Aston Martin boys, I think. They've had some good late season performance, I think. And that's good. That's good for me. 7 for both of them, I think. Onwards, Valtteri Bottas, I felt like he had a great race. I felt like Bottas had a really, really good race. I'm torn whether it's a 7 or an 8. If I'm giving his teammate a 6 for 12th, and Bottas is 9th, I'm going to go with 7th. I'm going to go with a 7. I'm going to go with 7 there for Bottas. Bottas is more of a driver than Zhou. He got points. You'd expect that. If the car is improved, they have brought some improvements recently, so I'm going to give him a 7 there. Very solid 7. Who else? Now, Ocon. Ocon in 8th. Actually, you know what? Bottas. He started 14th. He gained a place through Danny Rick. Actually, you know what? I'm seeing Pierre Gasly here. He started 10th and came 14th. That's not great. So, Ocon, 8th. He started 18th. Look, 18th to 8th. I'm not a fan of that radio oddness, but I think an eight is fair. 18th to 8th, that's good going. I think that's really really good going. I get what he was saying, but he sounded like he was disagreeing with the team. I never like it when a driver sounds like they're disagreeing with the team, because at the end of the day, they're paying the wages, and the driver is responsible for a lot of hard work from a lot of people, as was evidenced yesterday with Alpine releasing a statement about it, that the two drivers needed to behave because there's 1,000 people working. So I didn't like him the day after, immediately seeming to be a little argumentative, but he did it. He passed Vettel and then allowed Alonso past. So it is what it is, but it just seemed unnecessary at the time when I was watching it for me. Sergio Perez, 7th. I mean, where did Perez start? Perez started 5th. He came 7th. It's not a good drive. It's not a good drive, is it? It's not a good drive. I feel loathed to mark him down, but I've got to say, on the face of it, if he's starting in 5th and finishing 7th in that Red Bull, it's not great, is it? Now, Strat might have caught him out with the safety car, so on and so forth, but I like Checo, but 5 for me, especially when you consider who we're about to talk about, where he was, and what happened with his race. You know, it's not good enough for me. Yeah, I don't feel like I have to I kind of feel like I have to justify it, but because I like Checo, I think he's a nice, harmless chap, but that doesn't mean you get a good score. Not good. Not good. So, Max Verstappen, look, I'm going to go... Look, he had the incident, he got a penalty, so the position he found himself in was of his own making. He did beat his teammate. It was a great recovery drive, but if he'd qualified badly, or there was something around the qualifying that had him at the back, it'd have been a solid 8 for Max there. But it was of his own making. He got a penalty and he recovered. So a 7. If it wasn't because of a penalty and he was back there, it'd have been 8. I think. Do you agree with that? Like, I don't think I'm being harsh there. You know, there was different sides to that. The problem was of his own making. The comeback drive was of his own making. He'd have been up there if it wasn't for that. He's in the best car. While it's not on song in Brazil, without the penalty, it's a bang on 8, maybe a 9 for me. There, that's my justification, and I think it's fair. Fernando Alonso started 15th, finished 5th. We gave Ocon 8 for a similar drive. I don't know. Fifth is different to 8th. I wanna do that. Maybe I'm being biased. I'll take it if I'm being biased because I am an Alonso fan. But after yesterday, with what went on and everything like that, that is a solid drive in that Alpine. And actually, the team really needed that, because yesterday, for the constructors, it was a disaster for them. McLaren had the disaster today. So 9 for me. Now, we've got Carlos Sainz. I bet if Max won instead of Russell, you would say in your title, decent Brazil race instead of brilliant Brazil. No? Why would I say that? It was a great race. I find it weird that someone who objects to what I'm saying is watching for so long. But thank you for your view time. It really, really helps. So we've got Leclerc in fourth. You know, I can't really do 0.5s, so I'm gonna. You know what? Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm loath because he got a penalty. Because he got a penalty. Leclerc got hit, went into the wall, recovered to fourth. Brilliant drive. Brilliant drive. Brilliant drive. It's the penalty which is stopping me for Max. Genuinely. Yeah, well, there you go. You'd give Max a 7.5, and that's what I'm umming and ahhing about. It's not quite 7, but it's not quite an 8 because of the penalty for me. Leclerc a 9. Leclerc a 9 for me. Leclerc a 9 for me. The incident wasn't his fault. Was in the wall, recovered, fantastic drive. And Sainz. Where did Sainz start? Second, finished third. I'm going to give him an 8. I think I'm going to give him an 8. I'm going to give him an 8. I think even though he dropped a place, the Ferrari hasn't been developed in ages, and I think it was a solid drive from Sainz. On a day where there was opportunity to be had. Yeah, I think he made the most of it. He made the most of it for me. And Leclerc was just that bit better coming back through the field. Yeah, bigger disadvantage, really. Yeah, indeed. Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton was a solid drive. He had the pace when he needed to. He picked up some damage from the collision with Max. He put in some really hot laps when they were required. Solid strategy. Admittedly, didn't understand the box from Mercedes, which is understandable from his point of view because his tyres were good. I'm gonna go with an 8 for Lewis. I'm going with a solid 8. Sainz. Sorry, yeah, Sainz did start 7th, John T. I forgot that he had a grid penalty. I'm forgetting he had a grid penalty. But still, I'm quite happy to give him 8 points. My bad, John T. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot he had the grid penalty. I'm looking at the grid pre-stuff applied. So that's what I'd give him. I think Lewis was solid. I don't recall him doing anything wrong. Bit of damage, solid race, second place. And then the race winner, George Russell. Look, I'll give him a 9. It would be higher than a 9, but not a 10. Won his first race, didn't put a foot wrong, controlled the race. His restarts were bang on. You could maybe give him a 10. I'd give him you know what? Screw it, 10. 10 for his first race win. It doesn't happen all that often in F1, and he did it as if he's done it many times before in Formula 1. So actually, it's a 10. It's a 10, and I'm quite happy to stand by that 10. It was a good race. I'd have given him like a 9.8 or something, you know what I mean? But then again, what could he have done better? What could he actually have done better? He controlled it. His restarts were bang on. His start was spot on. He controlled his strategy perfectly. There was nothing wrong at all. There was nothing wrong at all with that, was there? At all. But yeah. They're my ratings, guys. It's all right to disagree with them. That's what this is about. It's good to have a chat. Now, I don't have as much time tonight, but in future ones, if people like this, I also have a teams rating board that we can go through as well, which I thought would be fun because Ferrari have made daft mistakes and different things this season, so I thought that'd be quite fun to do as well. But Checo has said this shows who he really is. Ooh. But there we go. What do you think? What do you think to this format, guys? What do you think to doing this format? Now, I'm going to end the poll. Should Max have allowed Checo past? 34 votes, 85% saying yes, 15% hate Checo, clearly. But 85% of people say he should have allowed Checo past, which I agree with. I agree with that, honestly. I completely agree with that. 85% saying yes. But this was a little idea I had to do this. We'll do one after Abu Dhabi, hopefully. I don't know if it'd be overdoing it to do it after qualifying and things like that, but there you go. There you go. Please do, if you haven't, like the stream, smash a like on the stream, and please do make sure you subscribe to TSKF1. I'm going live every morning, 9 a.m. Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. till 9:30 with the latest Formula One news, and then I'm going to try and incorporate these kind of lives into the content as well. So there you go. There you go, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate it, and I'll be back at 9 in the morning with the latest news and reaction from Brazil. Thanks a lot, guys, and I shall see you later. Cheers. Bye-bye.